Alrighty, hello and welcome to the finale episode review, episode 11 review of my blind notes, with my blind notes, of AnoHana, the flower we saw that day. Very beautiful. Started getting really heavy last episode. So, they're going to dish out all the final stuff here. So, anyhow, let's get to it. So, kind of a bit of a recap. Menma did not disappear to fight the fireworks succeeding and going off. And she just smiles. She smiles. She was shocked that she was still there, but she smiles. Everyone leaves. The parents pick up Menma's brother. So the father saw it too. It wasn't just the mom there. He probably drove her in the car there, which is a very good sign that she's finding some peace and moving on at long last. The brother will even be happy about that. Alright, so Menma thinks her wish was something different. Of course, we're at that point. That makes sense. Jinta ponders it was not that it was not the fireworks, I suppose, but doesn't elaborate on what he does think it might be. So you have to wonder. They're still hinting, but they're not dishing out what is the case yet. Anyhow, everyone meets up to ponder why Menma didn't leave yet. What is holding her? What is keeping her? What is keeping her? What wish is keeping her? Anyhow, Anaru reveals she wanted Menma to pass on for herself, to not see Jintan continue thinking about her. So, here we go again. Selfishness, the human heart. The not good of the human heart. Human nature, just selfishness. And I think a lot of people would struggle with feeling that way if there was someone we cared about and all they could do is obsess over another person. So I think that is potentially very relatable for a lot of people. Yeah. Alright, so Yuki reveals his care for Menma and how he was driven mad by only Jintan seeing her. So they're all, I think, as a group, grouped up and, being transparent, saying what's on their mind, telling the truth, and I think that's good. That's good. Very good to talk things through and to just be genuine, transparent, and truthful. Very good. Menma wakes up to find Jintan not around. And guess what? Guess what? Her arm is disappearing. And she is weak. Exclamation marks. The feels. The feels. It is now totally serious. The feels, bringing it on, laying it on thick like peanut butter. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which actually sounds really good right now for some reason. Anyhow. I ruined that moment. But anyhow. So I think that kind of a portrayal for the viewer was really good, really smart with the writing there, and how she was being portrayed. Very good, very smart to try and get the feels. Very good. All right, so Anaru calls it out of Sirocco for hiding her feelings, her own feelings. So she throws it back in her face, in Anaru's face, by saying she conspired with 2 others to find out Jintan's feelings towards Menma back then, I suppose. Or maybe at the present there when they tried to do it again. And Anaru responds. She admits her jealousy of Menma. Anaru throws it back at Suruko, and says that Suruko is also jealous of Menma due to her care of Yukiatsu, her feelings for him. So that is why she wanted to send her. So that is why she wanted to send her away, I suppose, Menma away. Suruko breaks down. She cries and claims she is different. Different now. And knew she could never win against Menma. And that she'd lose to Anaru anyway with Yukiatsu. So what a mess. What a love octagon mess this became. Like I say, I don't know if they're overdone or underdone or well done. Well done. That sounds good too. Anyhow, hungry. We're getting there. Just hold on. Suruko admits she was always jealous of Yuki for understanding with him. Suruko admits she was always jealous of Yuki for understanding with him. Because she understood him, she cared about him. I don't know what I was getting at there. Suruko reveals that she told Menma that Anaru was trying to find out how Jintan felt that day. Why didn't she say anything? There's a recall of Menma pondering what to do above a waterway, kind of balancing, which was kind of eerie, just like the bridge and river type thing. There's just an eeriness with any danger around Menma, because you know of what happened. And yet, not the fullness of it, but it's hinted enough. Menma reveals she loves them all. Not just Jintan, she loves them all. This is pure friendship. This is beautiful friendship. This is true friendship. Through thick and thin, sticking with them, and caring on them, not hating them, not disliking them over stupid stuff. Depending on certain things, you don't have to be best friends with people, but just love on them. So, anyhow, where are we? All right, she realized. Who am I talking about there? Anaru or Suruko? She realized then she could never win against Menma. In time, she got close to Yuki and was satisfied. So that's Suruko. She hoped after Menma left that she would be with Yuki, because she predicted that Anaru would end up with Jintan. Once again, teasing some romances. Papo at this point breaks. He breaks down. And he wants Menma to depart. He wants to help her be able to leave. And I guess it is interesting. I'll just make this addition. I guess it is interesting when if they were showing Menma, even with the fireworks type thing, with her arm disappearing, maybe it was the fireworks. Maybe it's a gradual disappearance. You know, there's some interesting thoughts there to be had. So, anyhow, Papo remembers. It's Papo's turn. Papo remembers where Menma went that day. He recalls back to the river and a shoe. He abandoned school to travel the world and is back to the old fort and can't escape or leave and yet wants to. He begs Jintan on his hands and knees to help Menma depart, for he can't get this, for he can't, he's just distressed and grieving over this. He can't get the image of her drifting further and further away out of his head. And that's constant. Everyone but Jintan at this point breaks. So Papo witnessed her in the river, drifting away. Ay, 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 ay. Horrible. How horrible. And it is interesting, Papo left school and traveled the world. I think that day probably influenced him to do such. Maybe it was separate from that, but you would imagine wanting to just go away somewhere else, create new memories. So I really do think that makes sense. I think that's why. I think his nightmare that he remembers of that day would be why he would want to get away from all that. Get away from all the memories of that. But anyhow, Inara wills to apologize to Menma. Jintan calls out her fake eyelashes, and Yukiatsu breaks to such and starts laughing, which really brings the mood back to normal, away from sad and conflict to comedy-ish, more normal in comedy. They ponder the use of their old names, and then they laugh together. So they've been unified, brought together, and they're finding peace. And Menma disappearing, So has she been successful, and that's why she's disappearing? Or is she actually on some sort of time limit to visit, in a sense? Who knows? All right, so Jintan admits he was happy that only he could see Menma, but she wanted contrary, and would not mind if she left, but wanted to talk to them all. So it is why she wanted to leave to be reincarnated, to be able to talk to them all. I don't know how she would do that as a caterpillar, but... And once again, there's a throw to Hinduism. Take note of that. And they agree They all agree to talk to Menma one last time at the old fort to grant her wish. Yuki calls Jintan the leader again. He finally gains back his respect for him. So finally, Yuki, you've fully warmed up at the final episode here. And the feels are on the way at this point. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jintan ponders peace to move on. He finds Menma on the floor. She reveals her wish is granted. For she recalls a promise. A beautiful promise with his mother. And then it goes to a flashback. Her mother, or his mother, not worried about herself, worried about Jintan. True blue, beautiful motherhood. His mother found that Jintan won't cry due to her being in the hospital. And that was her sole worry. And she finds that she'll be reincarnated. He holds emotion back. He tries to suppress the feels, which we all can do at some points, even during reactions. And his mother wills him to laugh again, to get mad again, and to cry again. So Menma promised to make him cry, and probably to make all the viewers cry, even though I didn't cry. It'd be a little spoilery, even though we're at the finale anyway. I teared up pretty dang good. Probably the most I ever teared up at the time to any anime. But I didn't break. It takes a lot to break me, or for me to be in the right mood, or for me to just be hit with enough. So anyhow. So the promise was for Menma to make Jintan cry. That was the promise between Jintan's mom and Menma. She got them together to grant his mother's wish, but it went differently than she planned it. Menma planned it. Jintan holds Menma. Menma breaks Jintan down at this point. He cries. And she likes it when he smiles. Jintan emphasizes that all of the Super Peace Busters wanted to say sorry, and that they loved her too. He carries her as she's disappearing so that they can all talk. So he's bringing her to them. And that scene and that soundtrack that kicks in, so beautiful. I think it's called I Left You. Please go listen to that beautiful, beautiful song. Beautiful song. That whole scene, how they executed that whole scene, really, really good. Really good. How there was kind of a effort to for him to try and carry her away. And the voice acting is just so great. So great. I don't even think a dub exists for it, which is kind of great. I generally prefer sub. If the subs are too fast, then you gotta go dubbed. But and sometimes there is a good dub, and sometimes there's a bad dub. So, but generally, I prefer to see it how it is supposed to be in the sub. So, with her disappearing and him rushing her to see the rest of them, for them to say sorry and for them to talk to her one last time, Menma either ponders or says that she loves Jintan, and she wishes to be with him like that forever. Jintan wills to grant her wish. They arrive. And oh, the feels ... as she comes off of him after he arrived. They're just cranking it up, cranking up that dial in every way they can find with the writing. Jintan can no longer see or hear Menma. She starts to mention Haydn. Or wait, he can't see Menma, he can hear her. But she started getting emotional about it, I think. And to cover, she mentions hide and seek. And he runs off to find her. Then the others do as well. Menma breaks down at this point and doesn't will to leave. She doesn't want to leave, but to say a proper goodbye and to be found. I mean, how true, how true. Everyone, wanting to have a proper goodbye. A proper goodbye. But truth be told, everyone might not get a proper goodbye. Everyone, or some people, could be just gone like that. And you don't get a goodbye, a proper goodbye. And some, you might not even have time for a proper goodbye. So that is why you don't take things for granted. You will anyway. You will anyway. But don't take things for granted. You enjoy and all that, and appreciate and love on individuals while you still can. So Menma wants a proper goodbye and to be found. She doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to go. She does not want to go. Nobody wants to go. Menma, struggling, writes something at the base, which hurts. It does hurt to see someone struggling like that. Especially someone so cute and a little girl. Oh, and the voice actor just made it painful. She's like barely managing to write something down, what she desperately wants to tell them all. And she wants more time. She wants more time. She wants to be found by them. And the group search until daytime through the woods and forest. They search all throughout the night, running around like mad. I think it showed Jintan's feet pretty beat up or something from it. But the group eventually find Jintan first, initially. Jintan finds underneath a tree 5 pieces of paper from her diary. And the rest do spot it out and all that. And then they hand them all off. They all get a letter. They all get a good letter. So here we go. To Sirocco, I love how gentle you are. And do keep in mind all of the characters were pretty much broken at this point. And just a feels overload, a feels train. To Yukiatsu, I love how you always worked so hard. Just, it's so beautiful. She's not holding anything against them. She's not against anything that day about them. She's saying good things about them. She's propping them up. She's not tearing them down. Just a beautiful, beautiful, pure-hearted heart. To Papo, love how funny you are. To Inaru, I love how you're always so level-headed. Pointing out the good in people. Not the bad, the good. Focusing on the good. Amazing. And then we get to the double Whopper with cheese. And at this point, I expected to be hit with something at this moment. You could feel it coming. You honestly could. So Jintan's. I love you, Jintan. My love for you is the sort of love where I want to marry you. That writing is so beautiful, so strong. That was probably the biggest tearjerker moment in the whole anime for me, other than her getting weak and disappearing in that scene. Those 2 scenes were probably the strongest for me. Those 2 scenes were the strongest. I love you, Jintan. My love for you is the sort of love where I want to marry you. So we get the confirmation. We get the confirmation that Menma loved Jintan. Menma loved Jintan. And how beautiful and pure-hearted. Wanting to have married him. Man, that hurts. Man, that hurts. That hurts. That hurts. That really does hurt. The last one really got to me because it felt powerful, which had more weight to it. And I teared up quite a bit, and perhaps the most out of any feels anime I've seen yet, which I appreciate. Yeah, even in my notes I admitted such. Menma ponders just in time to say a proper goodbye. Jintan wills to find her in hide and seek. They all call out for her to be found, unless it is endless. They hear her respond and can see her against a tree. All of them. Menma demands Jintan say something. She stands up and is disappearing. Then she'll be gone. They all respond that they love her too. Jintan gets his moment after a bit of encouragement from Papo, and Jintan also thanks her for granting his mom's wish. Menma wills to continue on with them, and cries. Now that Jintan has cried, she can be reincarnated, and because they said goodbye, they all say, "Found you, Menma," and she says, "You found me." So once again, take note, that was a Hinduism reference. So, at that point, she smiled, and that was it. That was it. That's where they cut. So she disappeared. She was gone. Jintan ponders. She still bore a smile after all. And then there were allusions toward Jintan and Anaru, Suruko and Yuki getting together. And Papo works locally. So he's not disturbed by the past anymore. They all move on. They all get a good, nice, happy future. And then there was, I think, a Jintan credit commentary. We'll grow up, and as the seasons rush past, the flowers blooming along the roadsides side will change too. I wonder what were the names of the flowers that bloomed during that season. They trembled slightly in the breeze, felt a little prickly to touch, and when you moved your nose close to them, they gave off the fresh scent of sunlight. In time, that scent will fade, and we'll grow up. But I'm sure those flowers will continue blooming somewhere. Yes, we'll go on. Super Peace Busters, our friends forever. They carved a new part into it. The ladder of the former sins. And then it shows there was a note left over in the old fort that said, bye-bye. Said bye-bye. That one really hurts too. That one really hurts too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for Menma. And then that was the end. So this was a beautiful anime. Feels anime, just like other anime. I'm not going to... I put down spoilers in the notes there for other feels anime, but so I'm not going to say which ones have the feels. But it was like several other feels anime moments and stuff like that. It went a bit differently than I expected, but that's really good. I'll try and save some overall thoughts and criticisms for a final post about AnoHana in a review, in an overall review. And also I need to mention the I Left You song once again that played. Big props to that beautiful song. Big props. So thank you for joining me on this my Blind Note review, and we'll catch you in the next one someday, perhaps. So it was a nice break doing these, break from reviews or reactions, and I'd like to do a movie Mondays. I'd like to do a movie Mondays type of thing. I won't be able to do it every Monday. No. But just once in a while, we'll do a movie. And we'll link it at the bottom of the description. And we'll probably call it Movie Mondays. So, and we'll have to toss them on Drive. So, that sounds like a really good plan. And the likelihood is I'll be doing the Madoka Magica movie 3. I want to know how things really end. I want to know, because I think it's a continuation. Like I say, I was going to do an intermission video talking about it, but I might not. I might not. We'll see. Anyhow, let me know your favorite moment of the episode. Man, oh man. That note to Jintan was... The note to Jintan and her arm disappearing, and then the final note at the fort, those were my favorite moments. So let me know your favorite moments, your thoughts on the episode, and thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I will see you up ahead. Take care, cool.